The Cowboys have released Dez Bryant after the receivers meeting with Jerry Jones, according to a source. The Cowboys will save $8 million against the cap this year with a move that is significant. Dez was reportedly saying, I'll see you guys twice this year when he left. Philadelphia could use a deep threat, perhaps. I don't know. I don't know. The cruel thing about sports, this is the really cruel thing. It's actually kind of, and again, in the context of what's sad in life. I mean, obviously, being a burn victim, abject poverty is, incredibly sad. This is less sad, but because these are all millionaires. But one of the things that's kind of the cruel sadness of professional sports is a lot of these kids, they come into these sports with all sorts of talent, but they're just not mature enough to understand that they've only got about 6 to 7 years to really hit it. And by the time a lot of them grow up, their talent has eroded. Dez Bryant just wasn't mature enough to understand how big of a position and important he was. And now he's like, I want to get committed, get a receiver coach. Dude, you can no longer run. You can't separate. Like, it's over. I say this with John Wall. John Wall is a remarkable talent, but by the time about a year ago, it really clicked with John. Well, he was 2 knee surgeries in, and now he's not the same player, and now he's hurt again. Is that a lot of guys come into these leagues? That's why I'm always really tough when I grade quarterbacks and point guards. Are you ready to run a franchise? Kyrie Irving now runs the franchise. Steph Curry runs the franchise, and you're asked to run it at 22 years old. Okay, so quarterbacks, I'm rough. I have been rough on guys because I'm like I'm rough on Baker Mayfield. I was rough on Johnny Manziel. I'm like, you're not Jamarcus Russell. You're not mature enough at 22 to run my franchise. I was never a fan of Jamarcus Russell, Johnny Manziel, and Baker Mayfield. It's not just a talent thing. But if you got a police video, Baker Mayfield, I'm out. And it's kind of a sad thing because I say this knowing that at 22 years old, how many young men are mature enough to run a franchise? Not many. I wouldn't have been. And it's kind of a sad thing in sports is by the time you grow up in sports, like in my business, I could be immature at 22 and was, and I was immature at 25 and was, but it didn't affect it because my window to make money in this business is 50 years. I'm to be honest with you, my peak is probably now because I've got the experience, I've got the knowledge, I'm, a little more chill, I prepare different. My peak years as a broadcaster are probably 46 to 60 or 58. That's probably my peak years. Maybe I can extend that a couple of years. You stay in shape, you do your crossword puzzles, you keep the brain nimble. But in athletes, 22 to 29, and then stuff starts to taper off. It's like in baseball. If you're still great at 33 in baseball, I'm suspicious. That's why all these baseball players think there's collusion in baseball. No, it's analytics. And now that HGH is out and even greenies are out, you can drink coffee and that's it. Players are naturally at 31, 32, Evan Longoria, they're tapering off. And the analytics, all these smart guys running baseball teams, it's not collusion, it's analytics. They're like, well, I'm not going to pay a 31-year-old in the roid era what I did because he's not extending his window from 22 to 30 to 22 to 37. And so everybody was talking about, oh, my God, there's collusion in baseball. No, there's analytics and a loss of greenies and amphetamines and HGH. You shouldn't pay a 32-year-old what you did 15 years ago. No HGH, and analytics are proving players naturally taper off. So when you come into these pro sports, man, you got to be ready to go. You got to be a grown-up. And if you're not, you become Dez Bryant. It's a cautionary tale. He's finally figuring it out, getting a receiver coach, eating right, being more mature, and he can no longer separate. It's just, I've seen it a million times. So that's why when you sit down at the draft and you ask these questions to kids, you're trying to, in 8 minutes, is he a kid that's ready to go, not just physically, is he ready to go emotionally? Is he ready to put the gear on and be fully committed and go to bed early and get up early and put in 60 hours a week for his craft? Unfortunately, many aren't.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.